So, Gloves of the Illuminator, quick video. These were constantly buffed by Blizzard, and with the recent Fireball changes, it seemed like there would be another build that could potentially rival Ice Shards. But in this video, I will discuss why it falls just short of being an all-time great. Now, if you love Fireball, the good news is the gloves make it a very viable, strong build that can take on maybe Nightmare 80 dungeons easily. Right, pushing 100 is just gonna be so much more work than Omnipower, Chain Lightning, or Ice Shards. The gloves by themselves have really decent stats, right? We have +4 ranks, max, attack speed, crits, and chance to restore resource, which is sorely needed, you'll see later. For bad news, well, the build just feels really clunky to use at times. Let's talk about why. So first, let's talk about where the build excels, right? In Season 1, with the Omnipower Heart, it is a blast to play in open areas with lots of monsters. Think Hell Tides, PvP zones, and even with Omnipower gone, you can use a staff because the triple class give very satisfying overlaps and it blows packs of elites up before they can fight back. But once you head into dungeons, those extra bounces almost come for nothing, right? They're useless when they bounce into walls or into a slope. The incline actually eats them, and so does the walls. And you simply don't need much coverage in most dungeons, right? Because most of them are hallways, thanks Blizzard, and these are perfect for the single bounce fireball. Now, if you remove Omnipower, this gives you access to Barber, and well, surprise surprise, Barber makes any build look good. This build is god tier with it because it has natural cleave, and everything's so dense now. But what happens when Barber goes away next season? Well, details in the comments, but I think this build actually moves up the tier list since it has natural cleave and great coverage. Now, for the really awful Achilles heel of this build, the single target damage. You guys saw this coming. This is in part due to the very shit vulnerability application. You have to spend an enchant and an aspect to reliably apply it on beefier targets, that or you're completely dependent on Frost Nova, right? Same old story. So either you run Frozen Orb and Frozen Orbit, and some people use Ice Shards with Pierce. It just feels bad, right? Having to use Ice skills. No matter what other content creators are telling you, it does not always feel great to play, especially at higher difficulty levels when mobs don't just fall over. Now the second problem again only really appears on long single target fights, and this build has serious mana issues, unlike Ice or Chain Lightning builds. Now, even if you weren't doing 0 damage, so much of the sorcerer's damage comes from aspect of control, right? And it's even worse with the Tempting Fate Heart, which I think you should just drop since fire so much crit melt anyway. So even with max lucky hit and a ton of resource restoration rolls, all of them actually, I have full mana cost reduction and the max 17% incendiary roll on my gear. It feels bad on Nightmare bosses above a certain tier, and it hinges on blowing shit up within Inferno's no mana cost duration. That's not reliable. You don't want to wait 35 seconds for this thing to come up again. That's it. The build can wipe normal content without requiring Vuln application. So in future patches, if Sorc ever gets some vulnerability love, or some additional resource management tools to fire or overall, until then it's probably just gonna be a fun build to mess around with if you get the gloves, and that's it. There you go. No bullshit from me. I am not a content creator full-time. I don't have to hit a number of views, so this is just raw truth. If you find a way to make it more viable, let me know. I'm sure I can do Nightmare 100 if you try it. It's just, you have to love the Fireball playstyle. Well, until then, see you next season, or maybe next week in Rayclast. Cheers.